I did money rituals in Zambia, and now I am only left with 3 months to live. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. Before I share with you this story that I'm going to be sharing with you, there is an SMS that I just came across on my phone that I'm going to be reading for you. And it reads like this. I'll be translating as I will be reading the message. It says, "Hi, brother. I want your advice and I need help. Please, when you post my story, guide me. My story, it goes on like this. I got married, it was in the year 2018. So me and my husband, we had a child together. So after we had this baby, when I had given birth, the child passed away, unfortunately, 3 days after I had given birth to my baby. And then I got another child. When I got another child, then the baby passed away within 1 week. And I was really hurt when it happened to the second child, that soon after giving birth, the baby also passed away. But what I could do, there was nothing. So me and my husband, we were staying in Zim. When we buried our child the first time around, after we had buried the child, we returned back to the burial site. What surprised us was that we found out that the grave had been dug up and it was open, and we do not know what happened, who dug up the grave at the place where we had buried our child. We then came to South Africa. It was in the year 2023. When we came to South Africa, we then had 2 kids. So what has brought me here is that my husband, he is always saying that you ate my children because you are a witch. What is hurting me is that now that we are in South Africa, he is dating South African women, and I do not know what else to do, where else to turn to. I am looking for a job. I really do not care what kind of a job that someone is going to give to me. I apologize because I wrote my confession as I was rushing around. I'm going to come back with a full story and also telling you about my father. That is a message that I came across. So let us speak with our dear sister in the comment section. What do you think might have happened that caused the grave to be opened up after she had given birth? 3 days later, the baby died. When they buried the baby, then they found out that the grave had been opened up. Do you think that there was someone who took the parts of the baby and used them in rituals? That is, then this is the message that I wanted to share with you before that SMS, and it reads like this. My wealth rituals that I did in Zambia, and now I have 3 months left to live. How are you, Brother Nashi? Please post my story, but when you post, please hide my identity. I am a 39-year-old man, and I am living in our promised land of Zimbabwe. I'm staying in a place that is called Zimri Park. I do not live with a wife or children. Why I stay alone? It is because they all ran away from the strange things that were happening in the house. Brother Nashi, people, they just desire to use charms. But what you do not know is that these charms, they cause suffering to the family. If you are into rituals, your family definitely, they are the ones that are going to suffer. I sought wealth through rituals, but I no longer have any kind of peace at all in my life. My story, it goes on like this. It was in the year 2023. I made some money from gold mining. I was an illegal gold miner, and after I had made money, I was lucky. Whenever I would go underground, I would always come up with something. Even the people at the places where we were mining for the gold, they knew that if they went with me underground, luck was going to be on their side. So a lot of syndicates, they wanted to work with me because I was making so much money. One of the other guy, then gave me a piece of advice and said to me, whilst you are still making money, it is time for you to invest in another business just in case, because you do not know what tomorrow will be holding for you. I listened, and I listened properly to my mentor, and he advised me to start a business where I would be buying second-hand cars from Japan. So I would buy those cars from Japan online, and then I would ship them through South Africa, and then I would go and pick them up in Musina and export and import them into my country. So I had an import and an export permit. So after I would have bought these cars from Japan, bringing them over to my country, I would always add a markup depending with the model of that car. I would add at least $1,000 on top. I then started working on a dream. This was a dream of mine that I had of eventually owning a car cell if things would go my way. However, my business was not moving as smoothly as I wanted. As you know that when you are an entrepreneur, there are always ups and downs. I was only making enough money so as to survive. It was in the year 2024, I started dating a girl who was originally my client. She used to come buy cars from me. This girl traveled to your places like Zambia to buy clothes. She would go there and buy nice clothes, and then she would travel back to Zim and sell. She had her boutique, which was in Harare. So this girl, through him, she started to help me to do other businesses. I can say that she was a woman that was independent, and ever since I had started dating him, she had never asked for money from me. She would always do her stuff. All that she wanted from me was happiness, to go out and enjoy life. It was something that I had never experienced in my life, to date a woman that does not even ask you for money. She was someone that had a lot of money, to the extent that she would sometimes help me pay school fees for my children, even giving me extra capital so as to import cars when things were down for me. Because I was always complaining about how difficult things were, eventually she told me that she knew that the reason as to why I was experiencing all of this bad luck in my business, it was all because of the bad luck that I had, and I needed to go to a place so as to unlock my good fortune. And I agreed. She was a woman that I was sleeping with. How else was I going to refuse? She told me the traditional healer was in Zambia and promised that once I stepped foot at his place, my life was going to change in an instant. In my entire life, I had never visited prophets or traditional healers. That was the first time like ever. So I traveled to see this healer. This healer, he was a Chichewa practitioner, but living in Dola, in Zambia. When we arrived there were many people that were waiting to be assisted. So you just don't get there, then you get time to be with the traditional healer. There is a process, and you have to follow that due process. When it was my time, when my turn came, I entered the consultation room. Traditional healers who deal with wealth rituals do not ask many questions, because they are topologies. They already know why you are there. Anyone that is there, he will know that you are there for wealth. When it was my turn, when I entered, the first terrifying thing that I saw was that there was an altar inside of the room, and then there was a huge python that was next to his altar. On the other side, I saw an owl, and I saw another bird that I can't properly describe. Maybe it is native in Zambia. In Zim, we do not have such a bird. It had mixed colors. It had red, blue, as well as white on its belly. It was very strange, with a long beak. And these were the things that he used as his topologies. He would send them into the forest or into the river to go and fetch the charms that he needed for the ceremony. My heart started racing as I was seeing the things that were happening inside of that room. I even sensed that there might be human body parts because of the way that there was blood in some other buckets. They were stained with blood. So inside of that room, there were 4 of us. It was the healer, his 2 translators, and of course myself. The girl who brought me was told to remain outside because this was my covenant that we were going to work on. The people in the room reassured me so that I would stop being afraid. The healer then told me my job is to give people wealth without involving bloodshed. But looking at the blood that was inside of that room, it made to question him. He then said to me, choosing this path, it requires someone that has a strong heart, and there is a price that you must pay once you start making money. Since I was already desperate, I told him that I was ready to pay any price as long as it gave me the life that I desired. The healer then told me to wait outside whilst things were prepared. I went outside and then I sat with my girlfriend. We were chatting. She was asking me how the process was going, and I told her that everything was going okay, and I was happy that she had chosen me so that I can be able to have money in my life. If it was not for him, I don't know what I was going to do because of the way that things were not moving so smoothly in my life. She asked me if I was ready, and I said, yes, I am ready for anything. I am ready to sacrifice anything. Little did I know that when I said that I am ready to sacrifice anything, it meant that I had to sacrifice even those that were close to me in my heart. I was happy thinking that this was the beginning of a new life, and my problems were going to be over soon. In the evening, I sat by the fire and eventually I fell asleep there. The healer then used numbers to manage his clients. Since we were a lot of people that were waiting to do money rituals, around midnight, it was at 12 a.m. He called me back into the shrine area, which had about 12 round grass-thatched huts. When I was taken to that particular place, he took me into one of the mud huts where the candles, they were laid on the floor, but the way that they were arranged inside of a circle. I was told to sit in the middle of the candles on top of a red cloth. In front of me was a black cloth. I was told to sit in that room all night facing the black cloth. I did not know I was about to experience something that would fill me with horror and terror. Once I was alone, the healer locked the door from the outside. In the middle of the night, when everything was completely silent and everyone was asleep, I started to feel really drowsy. Suddenly, I saw a very short creature. This creature that I saw, it was a tokoloshi looking like a small child, but it had huge muscles like a person that is always pumping at the gym. Approaching me, I stood up and I began to fight this creature. We fought from 2 a.m. until it was 5 a.m., which is when I was finally able to overpower this togoloshi. I choked it and then I pushed it to the ground. This small togoloshi, it was really aggressive. I had tried to shout for help, but then it grabbed my throat, which meant that it had blocked my voice completely so that no sound came out. By morning, I was exhausted and my body was swollen from the physical struggle with that entity. When the healer opened the door, he told me, now you are strong. Even if someone has a togoloshi in your village, if they send that togoloshi to you, it can never beat you or kill you. He gave me a single root and told me to hide it in my suitcase where no one would ever see it, saying it was my luck charm. When I returned home, I did exactly what I was told. Truly, my fortunes, they started to open up. Right now, as I'm speaking with you, life is okay. I do own a big car sale here in Harare. I am selling cars, but the cars that I'm selling, I don't sell poor people type of cars. I am selling SUVs to people that are wealthy. Money is no longer an issue for me. I am a wealthy man, but brother, the rituals, they are not a good or easy thing. If traditional healers told people the truth, I would have never accepted those charms. The biggest problem now is that I was told that I must sacrifice my mother. However, my mother is a devout member of the Apostolic Church. So I believe that my mother, she did a go back to sender on me because of the things that are happening in my life. She has not spoken to me directly about it, but I see that she is protected by angels because she has been a prayer warrior ever since my father passed away. Because of this, I now see that short creature I fought with in Zambia inside my house. If I leave food in the fridge, it eats everything and it causes terrible mischief. I went back to Zambia to tell the healer what was happening. He told me that you have to pay the price. You must eliminate your mother for things to go smoothly because these rituals, they run on blood. I tried sending the entity to attack my mother, but it failed because of her prayers. Because of my failure to sacrifice him, the healer's bed appeared to me and warned me that I had 6 months to fulfill the mission. Otherwise, I would be the one to die. Now, 3 months have passed and nothing is working. If I had known, I would have stayed with my poverty. I want to warn anyone thinking of using charms. Never make the mistake of seeking wealth through rituals. These things, they are like hot paper. They look bright when you are looking at chilies. It looks bright from the outside and red and attractive. But once you bite a red chili, it will start to burn you. You will never find peace unless you find water to drink, in which I am looking for someone to quench my thirst. So I told my girlfriend about my situation, and she said to me, I just need to do what the healer commanded me to do to upgrade my levels. I did not know that when you do money rituals, there are levels. In order for you to keep on making money, the more that you sacrifice, the more that you make money. I never signed up for all of this. So I am coming before the public of Zim looking for traditional healer or deliverer who can handle strong togoloshis. They must be powerful because the entity I have is dangerous and can kill an inexperienced healer. Money is not an issue. I will pay handsomely once the job is completely done. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear brother. That was a translation. Let us speak with our dear brother in the comment section. If you know any church close to the place where he is saying that he is in Zimri Park, you can tell us in the comment section so that you can go to that church. To you, my brother, I just hope that you can go to a church where you can go and confess your sins of dealing with these togoloshis so that you can live a whole new life. But let us speak with him in the comment section. Let us meet again in the following episode.